According to the Holy Scriptures, Yahweh Shai, the Son of the Most High, is set to bring immortality to the nation of Israel, the elect, via establishing the tabernacle of David, as we talk about the second coming of who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. He is coming to take down this current world ruled by Esau, Edom, and establish a righteous kingdom, which is synonymous with the throne of David. That's scriptural, which is a government that's going to run this world in righteousness.
After this manner therefore pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
A transfer of rulership is coming, and the kingdom of heaven will be on earth. Righteousness will be spread throughout the whole four corners of the earth. Wickedness will be put down. Eternal life. That's what's promised to the elect. All right, all Israel, but it starts with the elect. And that's how the earth will be governed by immortals, perfect angelic forces who are going to come down and rule on earth. Extraterrestrial bodies will be able to do things that humans do, but in heavenly bodies, like eating, drinking. Did not Yahweh Shai say he's going to drink wine with us in the kingdom? Well, how do you drink wine with a spiritual body? Well, we're going to have out of this world capabilities in those new bodies.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing this word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakakodash, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and what I want to get into with this lesson, dealing with power and authority, and this lesson was inspired, by some reading, I was doing in the book of Luke, okay, and just thinking about, the power and authority the Lord has given us now, and this power and authority that we have now, is a sample, okay, of the power and authority that we're going to have at the return of Yahweh Shai. You see, now when you go to, let's go here, there's a book of Luke chapter 9, verse 1. It says, then he called his 12 disciples together and gave them power and authority over all devils and to cure diseases. Okay, so Yahweh Shai has the authority, to give other men power, over demons, over diseases, okay, with the ability to heal. Okay, and so he sent them to preach the kingdom of the Most High and to heal the sick, and as we teach this word even today, it's healing of spiritual sickness okay, amongst our people, you know, because America, you know, we was sick, we was healed, we was ill, we was spiritually ill, you know, and his word, you know, through the authority and power of Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, you know, is healing the sick, all right, the sick in mind. You know, we had the dis-ease of the mind. Okay, Western culture is a dis-ease of the mind. You know, that's why it spreads like a plague and it destroys. You see? But that power and authority to be able to do that comes from Yahweh Shai, man. You know, because he has the power and authority to distribute power and authority, man. You know? So he's giving us, even when you go here to the next chapter. You see, this is the book of Luke, chapter 10, verse 19. It says, behold, I give you power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. So the Lord has given us power over the enchantments of Esau Edom. You know, that's why the preaching of the word is tearing down these enchantments for the sake of the elect. You know, because 2/3, they're meant to be enchanted until the destruction. Okay? But for the sake of the hopeful elect, well, this word, the preaching of the word, is breaking Esau's enchantments off the hopeful elect. You know, so we have an authority over the enemy. You see, through Yahweh Shai, and it's only going to increase. You see, and it's only going to increase. It says, notwithstanding in this, rejoice not that the spirits are subject unto you, but rather rejoice because your names are written in heaven. You know, it's a great chance, you know, that we could be a part of, all right, of that number, man. All right, they were predestined to be delivered from this time, to repent, okay, to believe and be delivered in this time. Okay, and then the power and authority that we have from Yahweh B'Shem Al-Shai through the teaching of this word, okay, is a token that we could be part of the elect, and not only having the power, all right, but not abusing, all right, this power. You see, certain men, you know, they mimic, you know, the prophets, okay, for the sake of trying to obtain personal gain. You know, you have certain men, you know, their motivation, okay, to teach this word, they're inspired to teach this word because of personal gain. You see, because this word comes with power. You know, and so you can even imitate those that teach this word, okay, and you can have power with people, man. You see, but it's those that use this power in sincerity. You see, it's about using this power in sincerity. Even when you go here, you know, we have a defense. And see, that's why Esau, as long as we stay in Yahweh Shai, we have a defense, man. You know, because we're coming in real power and real authority. Okay, and if this power wasn't real, Esau would been had his way. You know, but we serve with true power. All right, and there's a defense. You see, and even those that you know, Esau is going to be allowed, you know, to martyr, okay, some believers, okay, but he's going to be allowed to do that, okay, but if he doesn't have, all right, the authority to do it, he can't do it. The Most High doesn't allow him to do particular things, he can't do it, you know, and even then, okay, the elect win. You see, because guess what? Those that die in Yahweh Shai, okay, they're going to raise up with all power and authority in the earth, man. Okay? They're going to raise up to that next level of power, man. They're going to be raised up from the dead with another level of power, man. Okay? And it says, Jeremiah 15:20 says, and I will make thee unto this people a fence, brazen wall, and they shall fight against thee, but they shall not prevail against thee, for I am with thee to save thee and to deliver thee, said the Lord, and I will deliver thee out of the hand of the wicked, and I will redeem, all right, and I will redeem thee out of the hand of the terrible. Okay, so the Lord made a promise, you know, that he's getting ready, you know, to deliver, all right, his people out of the hand of the wicked, out of the hand of the terrible. That's a promise. Okay, and as we teach this word, the Lord has us like a fence, brazen wall. You know, that's why nothing can penetrate, all right, the ministry of Yahweh Shai. You see, the ministry of Yahushua can't be bought out, can't be compromised. Okay, can't be altered, can't be watered down. You know, it's a fence brazen wall because we're coming in authority, man. Okay, it's power and authority that's keeping the devil at bay. It's the power authority of Yahweh Shema Shai. You know, and as long as we stay within Yahweh Shai, okay, in truth and sincerity, you know, through faith, well, we're protected by a particular power and authority, man, that's above the power and authority of Esau. You see? Let's go from there. Let's get this in the book of Jeremiah chapter 1. All right, this is the book of Jeremiah chapter 1, verse 9. It said, then the Lord put forth his hand and touched my mouth. And the Lord said unto me, behold, I have put my words in thy mouth. And see, this is where the authority come from his words. The scriptures say where there's the word of a king, there's power. You know, so we come with the words of a king. Okay, and the king that we serve, Yahweh Shema Shai, has great power, has unlimited power and authority. Okay, that's what makes these words so powerful, man. You know, as we speak these things, as we speak these words, it's changing the earth. You know, the continuing of speaking these words is changing the earth, man. It's changing the whole outlook of the earth. Okay, it's changing the whole trajectory of the earth, man. Everything, all right, is being dictated by the words, okay, of this book, man. You know, so we continue to come out this book, which is the words of Yahweh Shema Shai, as we continue to come out the scriptures, go into prophecy, man. Okay, the earth is conforming to this word. Okay, everybody's subjugated to it. You see, that's power and authority, man. When you can speak things, all right, beforehand, and everyone's subjugated to it. Okay, verse 10, it says, see, I have set thee over the nations and over the kingdoms to root out and to pull down and to destroy and to throw down, to build and to plant. Okay, so through this word, there's a kingdom that's being uprooted. And through this same word, there's a kingdom that's being planted. Okay, so the kingdom of Esau, Edom, is being uprooted, is being pulled down by this word. Okay, and Yahweh Shai is coming to finish it off. Okay, and Yahweh Shai is coming to establish, okay, a new kingdom. He's coming to plant the kingdom of Israel forever. Okay, beginning with the elect, man, the first fruits you see, but the Lord set his prophets up, all right, with power and authority, man. And it takes faith to believe in that power and authority. That's why, you know, someone who thinks that they got to do all these gimmicks and add this to the word and add that, make it world friendly, all right, the music video, and, you know, turkey giveaway, whatever, you know, the community. Nah, man. This word, teaching this word has enough power and authority in itself, man. It don't need no gimmicks. Okay? You see, you don't need no extra, man. Superfluity. Okay? All we have to do is teach this word, man. And the power and authority that's within this word is doing everything else, man. You know? We're speaking our hope and expectation into the world. You see? Through the will and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. So let's go from there. Even when you go back, when you go to when you go to how the Lord dealt with Moses, okay? Niggas, boy. Okay. This is Exodus 7:1. And the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai said unto Moses, see, I have made thee a guide to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. So the Lord told Moses, I'm gonna make you a guide unto Pharaoh. Okay, so Pharaoh, he was the most powerful man at this time. Egypt was a superpower. Okay, just like Esau, he's the most powerful heathen. All right, especially you get into their elites, they're the most powerful heathens. Okay, in the earth, you see. But the Lord has made us like a guide. All right, telling this nigga what's gonna happen, speaking this nigga in existence, man. And speaking to him how it's gonna end. Okay, telling him step by step what he's gonna do next. That's God-like power, man. You see? But we know it's the Lord's power, all right, that's running through us, man. We're just vessels. The power, but the power is of Yahweh Bashim Shai. Okay? But as we stay in this word, as we stay obedient, as we stick to the script, okay, according to what the Lord told us to do, man. The Lord has us in God mode, all right, in this time, man, against Esau, man, the modern day Pharaoh. Okay, just as Moses was speaking plagues into existence, speaking the downfall of Egypt, we're doing the same thing. Okay, because there's going to be things happening that Esau ain't playing for, man. You see, a lot of things, you know, that he does is engineered. Even then, the Lord is using this nigga to engineer certain crises for the sake of judgment, man. And then there's going to be things happening that he's not going to be able to duplicate, just like Pharaoh's, okay, magicians, okay, they was able to imitate, you know, some of the miracles of Moses on the left-hand side, okay. So there's certain things that Esau, you know, he's going to be able to engineer, you know, when it comes to these crises, when, you know, particular things. But then there's going to be things happening, all right, that's above his power, man. That's above his power and authority, man. You know, because the Lord finna show Esau what true power is, man. Okay? The Lord finna really show Esau what true power is, man. You see? So when we go back let's go here to the book of Luke chapter 10 again. Now this is Luke chapter 16. So like, you know, and see the Lord is trusting us, you know, with his power. Okay, we've been entrusted. You see? And when you go here, this the book of Luke chapter 10. Now it's like chapter 16, verse 10. It says, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. Okay, so we have this power and we remain faithful, man. You know, you got certain Jakes that come in, you know, learn this truth, you know, learn a couple breakdowns and break off. And the reason why Jake be want to break off and do their own thing, because Jake got their own ambition. You know, Jake be having, you know, their own motives. You see, Jake be wanting to break off, all right, because they want to take, you know, this power and authority of teaching his word, okay, and turn into something for themselves, man. You know, they don't remain faithful to the mission. You see, Jake see that you can get a following. Jake see that you can, you know, build you a cult of personality. Okay, you can get some money, you can get some women, you can get some clout, you can be popular, you can, you know, you can mingle with, you make yourself a YouTube celebrity, you can mingle with others, you know. Jake want to be a podcaster, Jake done did a reality TV show. See, Jake didn't stay faithful in the least, man. You know, and the least is the power and authority that comes with teaching his word. You know, because it's small compared to the power and authority that Yahushua is getting ready to give us, man. Okay, it says, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. And he that is unjust in the least is unjust also in much. Yeah, so if the Lord is saying, like, damn, nigga, you act like this with the power and authority, with the small amount of power and authority I've given you, and you acting like this, you know? So a lot of men have proven themselves unworthy, okay, of much. You see, we're proving ourselves worthy to be able to aid Yahushua in the world to come. to be faithful, a faithful joint heir in the world to come. Okay? That's why this truth is about what? Discipline. You see, patience. But that's not cute to a nigga. That's not cute in nigga culture. Okay? So keep reading on. It says, if you therefore have not been faithful in unrighteous mammon, who will commit to you, all right? Who will commit to your trust the true riches, man? Okay? So Jake can't do right in this setup with this power and authority, man. How is he going to run a kingdom? How is he going to run a province under Yahushua? Okay? He can't even resist to have any patience. And that's the thing too. Jake don't have no patience, man. Jake want the perks of rulership now. It ain't time to have that. Okay? It ain't that time to have that, man. The power and authority we've been given is to edify and to chant down Babylon, man. You see? It's time to chant this place down. As we push this word, this place is falling, man. Okay? The Lord is speeding up time. Time is just getting faster and faster. Events are happening more often. Okay? Verse 12 says, and if you have not been faithful in that which is another man's, okay, because this power, and now this parable is going into, this parable about this Jake, who wasn't a good steward to a man of the world. So the house shot like, if you can't be a good steward to men of this world, how can you be a good steward to me? And then when you go into how Yahushua has given us authority, to teach this word, to chant down this kingdom, to break down the enchantments of Esau, to heal our people, from spiritual illness, man. So we've been given, power and authority, all right, from another man, which is Yahushua. This is his power and authority that we're doing what we're doing. Okay, it says, and if you have not been faithful in that which is another man's, who shall give you that which is your own? So if we can't, be faithful in the power and authority that comes from Yahushua, how can we be faithful with our own? Why would he give us our own when we wilding out? It's like someone let you borrow their car. Your father let you borrow the car. Your big brother let you borrow his car. Okay, and you just dog the car out. Okay, so who the hell will buy you and give you a car if you show what you'll do with that power that comes with having a vehicle? Okay, so as the Lord has given us power and authority, well, we're faithful to the mission with the power and authority that Yahushua has given us, man. In the kingdom to come, he's going to give us our own power and authority, man. And forward in righteousness in the earth forever. You see? So let's go here to Matthew 25 and 20 to drive home that point. It is the book of Matthew chapter 25 and verse 20. It says, and so he that received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. Yeah, so the Lord gave us these talents, to flip. As we teach, man, the believers supposed to increase. Okay, and men that are able to teach are supposed to increase. And that's flipping the talents that we've been given. That's flipping talents. That's the talents, the ability and the gifts that the Lord gave us to teach his word. Okay, as we put these things to use, well, it's creating more believers, okay, and more capable men that are able to teach this word. Okay, and that's the talents, that we've been given being flipped. They're gaining more talents. You see? So Yahushua, he's entrusted, particular men with gifts and talents to teach his word, man. The ability to teach his word. You see, and he's expecting the increase, you know, not to us to do our own thing. Because you got to think about these guys that, like I said, they run off, they come and get the breakdowns, you see, and come and get the format, and they go do their own thing, okay? And then they the only ones that benefit, man. They're not, all right, flipping the talents. You know, you look at guys like Sakari, man. Look what he made with Deacon Hakai and Hassad. Okay, all these people were listening to him, but none of these people were meet for repentance, man. Okay, so these guys took the talents, all right, to increase their own thing. Okay, they took the talents just to increase their own things, man. They're not converting true believers, and they're not teaching other men that's able to teach, because they're off, man. Because their teaching is off, man. Okay, they're just an example, man. So you got certain men, you know, they've taken these talents, okay, to increase themselves, man, and not to increase, okay, what the Lord, all right, in Yahushua. You know, we're supposed to increase for Yahushua, you know, with the talents that we've been given. You see, and if we're faithful, verse 21, his Lord said to him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Okay, so we're faithful in these few things. Okay, the power and authority to teach his word. Okay, we're faithful in that. Yahushua is going to make us ruler over many things, man. That's going to be literal, man. Okay, but with this power now, what we're being tested. You see, even when you go here, because you look at the apostles, think about it. All right. This is Acts 3:1. It says, now Peter and John went up together into the temple at the hour of prayer, being the ninth hour. And a certain man, lame from his mother womb, was carried when they laid, it said, whom they laid daily at the gate of the temple, which is called Beautiful, to ask alms of them that entered into the temple, who seeing Peter and John about to go into the temple, asked of alms. And Peter, fastening his eyes upon him with John, said, look on us. And he gave heed unto them, expecting to receive something of them. Then Peter said, silver and gold have I not, but such as I have, I give thee. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach of Nazareth, rise up and walk. And he took him by the right hand and lifted him up, and immediately his feet and ankle bones received strength. And he leaping up stood and walked and entered with them into the temple, walking and leaping and praising the Most High. And all the people saw him walking and praising the Most High. Okay, so the apostles, here it is, they had the ability to heal. Okay, but they wasn't using it to they didn't make merchandise of their power and authority that they had, man. You know, it was people who would just wait for Peter to come by, and his shadow would heal them. If they can stand in the path of his shadow, they will be healed. Okay, that's authority, man. It's power. All right, but they didn't use that power and authority for unrighteous gain. Okay, he told them, look, silver and gold I have none, but what I do have. Okay, now he had that power and authority, but then he had brotherly love with it. Okay, he healed his fellow Israelite, man. And that same man, yeah, he was converted. You know, he began to praise, leap, and dance to the Most High. Okay, he wasn't charged anything. Freely have we received, freely we give. Okay, so as we teach this word, okay, our people are being healed, they're being restored. You know, we're being restored. As we teach this word, we're being restored, man. As we constantly toiling, laboring, and learning, you know, we're being restored, man. You know, and we go and restore others, man, through the preaching of the word, because this is Yahweh Shema Shah is doing the restoring. We're just teaching. We're just vessels. Okay? We're just being faithful to the assignment. Lord will we stay faithful to the assignment until the end. You see? So yeah, the Lord, you know, he entrusted us with with much power, man. You see? And Lord will, we stay faithful to the mission. Because we know that it's through the power of the Lord. Okay, everything we do is through the power of the Lord. Let's go here. This is the book of Psalms 44. All right, Psalms 44 and verse 4. Hey, mercy, 444. Said, Thou, my king, O power, command deliverances for Jacob. Through thee will we push down our enemies. Through thy name will we tread them under that rise up against us. Okay, so it's through Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, it's through his authority that we're able to do this, man. And we're pushing down our enemies, man, through teaching his word. Okay, as Esau's getting ready to make his move, man, his word is breaking this nigga down, man. You see, Esau is scrambling. He's wearied in his counsel behind his word going out, man. You know, and he's subjugated to it. You see, he said, For I will not trust in my bow, neither shall my sword, all right, save me, but thou hast saved us from my enemies and hast put them to shame that hated us. In the Most High we boast all the day long and praise thy name forever, Salah. So we boast in our power. You know, we know the power is not of us, man. And we're not here to do our own thing. Nah, man. The Lord has his prophets doing a mighty work, man. You brothers that's faithful to the assignment, man. The Lord got you on a mighty mission, man. You know? And we know it's not for us, man. We don't have this power and authority, you know, through the teaching of his word. Okay. For the sake of you know, marketing ourselves, man. You know, building our brand. Nah, man. Okay, we're here to exalt Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, man. Okay, in the earth, man. And speak about what he's getting ready to do, man. Okay. This is Psalms 9:20. No, this is Jeremiah 9:23. It said, Thus said the Lord, let not the wise man glory in wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches, but let him glory in this, that he understandeth and knoweth me. And that's our glory, that we understand what our power is getting ready to do in righteousness, man, in the earth. You know, that's what we glory in, man, understanding the will of the Lord. Okay, not in might, you know, not in physical strength. You know, like we got some type of physical strength, like we, you know, Jake pushed this militant, you know, you got Jake having an interview with a podcaster with Jake in the background doing karate, you know. You see, little goddamn Jodeci boots, you know, they doing karate. You see, nah, man, we don't put no appearance of our physical power, man. Okay, you're not putting on the you know, like it's because of wealth. You know, we use this ministry to obtain some type of wealth, and we glory in wealth, man. You know, we're not glorying in the wisdom of this world. Okay, we're glorying in knowing and understanding Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai. Okay, that I am the Lord which execute love and kindness, judgment and righteousness in the earth. For in these things I delight, said the Lord Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, man. You know, so we glory in what the Lord is getting ready to do, man. Understanding prophecy, man. Understanding he is. Okay, the Lord finna show power. You see? So when you go, let's go here. And we can end it here, Revelation 2 and 25. Okay, it says, but that which you have already hold fast till I come. Okay, so that we have already, you know, it's on us to hold fast. You know, so the power and authority that he's given us to teach his word, staying faithful to it, staying disciplined, being patient, you know, with his word. Okay, having faith in the victory, man. No matter what circumstance or situation we find ourselves in, we have a faith in this victory, man. Okay, but that which you have already hold fast till I come. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works until the end, to him will I give power over the nations, man. So it's gonna be another level of power given to us over the nations, man. Another level of authority. Okay, if we stay faithful to the end, if we endure, if we hold down, okay, the power and authority that he's given us now, because even faith, that's power, man. To be unmovable in these times of temptation and trials, okay, and desperation, chaos, man, and faith, being anchored by faith in these times, that's power, man. You see, we got to hold on to that until the return of Yahweh Shai. Okay? So, Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you few sisters edified. Till next time, give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, be a great example towards young brothers. And peace and blessing, salutation to the hopeful elect Shalom.